Hope it does. Ooh, I think it's working. Facebook, let me know if I'm live, besties and bosses. I know last time I tried this, it didn't go live in the group. I recorded the whole entire live and I had to do it a second time. So hopefully this is working. I'm trying from my phone today because the camera's a little better. Hey Joe, nice to see you. Hey Carolyn, nice to have you. And I think a couple other people just joined in. You meant wave. I will take the wave. Besties and bosses, I don't know. You know what? I guess I can check on my computer. Thank you for bearing with me. I promise we're going to have a good conversation today all about passive income. I do want to make sure that this is actually working. So let's see if we can check this and then we'll get started. While I'm making sure this is working, y'all, let me know how your weekend was. I had a lovely, lovely, lovely weekend. Let's see, am I live in my group? I can see myself. I am live. Cool. I'll close that now. I had a lovely weekend. I got some great time with my girlfriends, which was wonderful. That always fills up my cup. I have some lovely, lovely friends. I binge watched Queer Eye for the Straight Guy this weekend. Does anybody else watch that? That show makes me cry every single time that I watch it. And it is, I'm just making sure I've got everything set up here while I'm chatting with you all. It makes me cry every single time. I don't know what it is about the show. I think it's because it is the closest thing to coaching possible. Carolyn said she had a great weekend. Yay, I'm so glad that you did. Okay, so I want to hear what you did that filled your cup, Carolyn, this weekend, and I've got myself set up. We are in Facebook. Sorry for the delay, y'all. We are going to dig in. So today what I want to talk about is passive income. Thank you all again for waiting as I work through the tech difficulties here. I think we will be good to go moving forward every week. Before I dig in, real quick, we have, hey, thank you for joining. I have a free training starting on Wednesday, Take Up Space Like a Boss and Get Paid. If you haven't signed up, there's a free link in my profile, Instagram, Facebook. There's a free link at the top of the Facebook group. Sign up and join. It is going to be an awesome training. We're digging in for 3 days. It is completely free. We are going to be talking all about taking up space like a boss, not just physically, not just showing up and checking things off a to-do list, but showing up emotionally and energetically, why this matters. I'm going to walk you through my coaching framework of clarity, mindset, strategy, and action, which I think is the secret sauce to everything. And we're going to talk about how this impacts our income and impact. I think it's going to be a great training. I'm super excited about this. So if you haven't signed up, you still can. We start Wednesday morning. So final warning, sign up and join me. Hey, Emily, nice to have you too. You're just catching me after all my tech fails. So today what I want to dig into is passive income. And hey, girl, Checkpoint, nice to have you too. And as I'm chatting about this, I would love to hear from all of you what your thoughts are on passive income. If you've thought about this, how you feel about this, because I think this is, thanks for the wave, nice to have you here. Happy Monday. I love you. I think this is a topic that is really important. I think the phrase passive income is thrown around left and right, but I don't think we always really get under the hood of what passive income means, and it can really throw, I think, some people astray. And I think on the pursuit to passive income, sometimes I find we can actually burn ourselves out, which sounds a little counterintuitive. So I want to dig into passive income. I want to talk about if it's passive or not passive. I want to talk about some of the myths and misconceptions. My hang up with the phrase, I actually love passive income. I'm going to talk a little bit more about why I love it, but I want to reframe some of this. Amelie says love passive income. I do too. I think it's amazing, but I do think there's a lot of misconceptions about it. And Amelie says, amen. Amen is right. I also want to talk about what we want to focus on first. I believe in our businesses, if we want to successfully create that passive revenue streams and additional revenue streams in our business that leverage our time and make us money while we sleep. So let's just dive right in. Throw comments at me, throw questions at me if you have them. For starters, I have made passive income for as long as I've been an adult working. So I have all the love in the world for passive income. I think it is amazing. I think it is incredible. There is nothing better than waking up and having money from something you've created in the past in your checking account, or walking to the post office or your mailbox and having a check for something you've done years ago. It is amazing. So this is not a live stream about don't create passive income streams. However, I do want to really bust some of the bullshit around it. So again, when I was acting, you get passive, we call them residual checks. You do a commercial, you then for months, sometimes a year, get residual checks. Those are checks for a job you've already done, you've already showed up for, and then you continue to get that money in your bank account. My boyfriend is also an ex-actor. He's still, I think it's been 5 or 6 years since he stopped acting. He still gets residual checks in the bank. They're awesome. Now, as a business owner, I sell digital products online. Those give me residual income, passive income streams. That being said, there is nothing passive about passive revenue. Hey, Taylor, nice to have you here. Zero passiveness about passive revenue, and that's what I want to dig into, because I think a lot of us hear passive revenue. There's a lot of talk online. Just do one webinar and you're going to make $1 million. Just do this one thing and you can sit on the beach and drink Mai Tais and you're going to make a ton of money. Or just, I don't know, create one funnel, pump some money into the front of it, and it's going to spit money out the back end like a little magical machine. And that's just not how it works. And I really think a lot of passive revenue that's done well and that actually generates revenue on a consistent basis, there's nothing passive about it. And I think this is where it gets us tripped up. I have a lot of clients who come to me and they want to start out by creating passive revenue. And I think a lot of times when we start in this way, it actually does more harm than good and can actually really cut into our revenue stream. So hear me out on this. Again, I love passive revenue. I'm not dissing it, but I do want to break this down a little bit. And hey, nice to have you. Is it G? Nice to have you, G. And Facebook, I can never see the comments, but I see you there. So say hi and I'll see if I can see the comments. Sometimes the Facebook stuff doesn't work as well, but I'm on my fancy new phone, so it should work for us today. We'll see. So let's talk about the word first, because I have some beef with the word passive. I don't love the word passive. I would love for all of us to reframe passive income as residual income. Because the word passive to me, I mean, what does passive mean? Passive means we're sitting back, we're waiting, we're just kind of hanging out, we're being very passive. And I think, first of all, if we're passion driven and we're creating businesses based out of passion, most of us want to be actively in our businesses. We love our business. I think the idea behind what passive revenue means is creating residual income. It's leveraging our time. It's leveraging our talents, our skills, so that we can make more money from something we've already done once. Does that make sense to everyone? Thanks for the thumbs up. Is it Heath? Thank you for the hearts. I appreciate this. And let me know. Hey, Regina, nice to have you. I can see my comments, Facebook. I can see you guys. This is very exciting. Let me know if this is resonating, if you have any questions. So I keep losing my little bullet points here. So I want us to reframe passive into residual. Again, I talk about this a lot. I know I've talked about this before with you all in terms of there are things we can do passively in our business to create and generate income. And then I think there are things we can actively do. And I think we want to always have a combination of both if we want to generate not just income in our business, but to have sustainable income in our business that continues to support us. And I'm all about the sustainability. And I think part of that means continually to actively pursue the revenue, to actively show up. And so even with residual income, not passive income, there is often a way we need to actively show up to market and to make sure we're monetizing whatever it is we're selling. However, what we're doing, again, is we're leveraging our time, we're creating something once, and that's where the residual income comes in. We can reach a larger audience, we can do something once and continue to reap the benefits from it, and that is fucking amazing, y'all. And so that's the plus, but let's reframe the terminology around it. We're going to residual, not passive. Because to create residual income on a consistent basis, let's peel back the layers a little bit and talk about what really goes into that. I know a few people who are doing this really well at the $1 million a year plus mark. And again, there's nothing passive about their business model. There's nothing passive about their business. They are creating, hey, Cobain House Quills, nice to have you. They are creating residual income. They are leveraging their time, meaning, for example, I do most of my income comes from one-on-one work. There is nothing residual about that. I need to presently show up with my clients and be there with them on the call, off the call to earn income. Versus I have some do-it-yourself products that you can buy. I have created that once. I've leveraged my time. I've taken a problem I see for my clients consistently. I've created that into something you can buy and download, and I can continue to get residual income from that. But if we peel back the layers, and let's let's not use me. Let's use some of the people I know who are creating this income at $1 million mark, who are, yes, using Facebook ads and who have funnels and all these things we hear about. First of all, to create a residual income product, we're not talking about the acting jobs here. We're talking about the income products. Hey, nice to have you joining. I see a couple other faces joining. Let me know if you have questions, by the way. And I don't think, okay, to see the Hey Kim on Facebook. And if this is resonating, if this is making sense. If you don't agree with me, tell me. I'm so happy to have a conversation back and forth about this and to open up the conversation. For a residual income product to generate income at the level we want for it to be sustainable, let's peel back the layers. First, what happens behind the scenes is absolutely not passive at all. First of all, anyone who is creating a product and generating that level of income has done their fucking homework on their audience. They know their people. They know what their people's problems and pain points are. They know how to solve those problems for their people so well that they are able to create a product that leverages their time, that puts out a fire for someone. They're not just creating something, crossing their fingers, hoping it works. They've done their work oftentimes with very active revenue streams to get really clear on what that is, to create a passive revenue stream that allows them to get that residual income so that they can leverage their time. Does that make sense? Oftentimes this has been tested. When we talk about the actual funnel that we're always hearing about, those magical funnels. I mean, I have all the things and beef around funnels. I think funnels are great. I have funnels in my business. They absolutely do work, but I think they're not the magic bullet so many of us think they are. Funnels take testing and tweaking. We have to really get to, it's just like anything. We have to get something working organically first, from a very active place first, which requires, again, getting clear on our audience, getting clear on the language, getting clear on those pain points and problems, really making sure that the product we are offering really solves a problem, and that the copy we're using, the language we're using, speaks to our people, and that this is working in a way that we're actively showing up and driving traffic to and nurturing that traffic to convert into those sales, so that we can then turn this into that residual passive revenue stream. Making sense, y'all? I see a lot of you joining. Let me know, because I get all fired up and ranty about this stuff, and I really want to make sure this is connecting and making sense, because I think this is an important conversation. So that's the first thing I think we just want to be clear on the back end of passive revenue, what we're calling residual revenue, that there is a very active approach to creating the flow, the funnel, that stream, that audience of people that are coming in to be able to generate that income from a passive place, so that you can essentially make money in your sleep. Now, if we're doing let's say we've got this all in place, we've done the active work, we're ready to turn this into the passive part where it's residual income, you better bet your bottom dollar that the people, again, who are monetizing this and really creating sustainable income from residual forms of revenue streams, they've also, not only are they, maybe they're pumping money into Facebook ads on the front end, they're also showing up consistently, very actively in their business in one form or the other. They are continuing to build their audience, to nurture their audience, to show up and share value, and to build those relationships, because that never goes away. Even if we are creating all the residual income in the world and leveraging our time, which again is beautiful, I think that's amazing, it doesn't change the front end of our business, and it doesn't change that front end of our sales process. That never goes away, which is getting visible, showing up, taking up space like a boss. That's why the training is called that this week. Building those relationships, showing up and sharing value, so that we can leverage our time and create that residual income. Waves, high fives, anything, the high tens or sad faces if this doesn't make any sense, if this isn't resonating. Facebook, I don't think I see any comments, but Instagram, I see you all there. So let me know if this is still connecting, what you think, and let me know what your thoughts are on passive revenue, residual revenue, whatever you want to call it. Thanks for the thumbs up, Cobine House. So those are some of the things that go in on the back end of creating residual income that I think are really important to be mindful of. Now, what I always talk to my clients about that I think is something we want to think about when we're getting ready to build in these additional revenue streams in our business, because I mean, come on, who has not heard this concept of we need to have 7 revenue streams if we're going to make $1 million in our business? I know I've heard that. I know there's books out there. I know we hear this all the time. And I think this, again, is a little misleading because it doesn't paint a full picture. Hey, Wendy, nice to have you. We're talking about passive revenue, and let me know your thoughts on this. I always love to hear everyone's thoughts. I'm rattling away, and I want to hear what y'all think about this. And hey, who else is it? Is it Val that just joined? 7 revenue streams. So seven revenue streams to make $1 million. That's sort of that magical thing we hear about all the time. And I think it's a little misleading because yes, there is something really great about creating, thanks for the thumbs up, about creating those additional revenue streams so that we can leverage our time, so we can make that residual income, so that we can make money while we sleep. That's a beautiful thing. However, that does not mean create 7 revenue streams at once. That does not mean go out there and put out a bunch of stuff and try to create 7 passive revenue streams and the money's just gonna come rolling in. I see this over and over again. We get out there, we kind of get one thing going and we want to add in all these revenue streams, and usually more often than not that does more harm than good. Because I just heard Rachel Hollis, I think it was on Amy Porterfield's podcast, talk about this. She said this so well. She gave a great example. She said, so this is not my example, this is hers, giving the bow down to Rachel Hollis. She said, imagine you're on a soccer field and you have 7 soccer balls, and every day you go and kick one of them. Versus imagine every day you have 1 soccer ball and you keep kicking it down the field. If you keep kicking 1 soccer ball down the field, it's going to go a whole lot faster. Regina says the minimum side hustle has to be 7. No, I am discounting that. But that is, Regina, just to answer your question, that is something that is thrown around a lot, and we hear about that a lot. So no, you do not need to make 7 side hustles, I promise you. What I think we need to do is go all in on 1 side hustle. Even if that's your residual income or your passive income stream, go all in on 1 and work it until it works, until you are creating that consistent, sustainable income on 1, and you have your sales process down from start to end. You have your ideal client down. You know exactly what their problem is, how you solve it, and you have that 1 revenue stream working, and then add on another revenue stream. And going back to Rachel Hollis's example that I kind of stopped halfway there. Imagine if you just take 1 soccer ball in the field and you keep kicking it down the field over and over again, how far you can kick that 1 ball versus every day kicking 7 different balls a little bit of a distance. It's going to take so much longer to really get anywhere, and they're going to start to go all over the place. Let me know if this is resonating with y'all. So I really believe in focusing on 1 revenue stream at a time, getting that working like so well that you can do that in your sleep, that it feels like you're making money in your sleep, and then adding on additional revenue streams. When it comes to creating that residual income, that passive income, Amelie's giving me the praise and the heart. Thank you, Amelie. When it comes to creating that residual income, here's what I really believe we want to have in place first. I believe in creating a revenue stream that is active. I'm using active for a lack of a better word, that creates revenue in front of us that we can really get in and test and tweak. So let's say you do have something like a course that is more on that residual income side. Even there, I'd say go all in on 1 and really go in and master the sales process to that. Show up and master that all the way through before you turn it into something that becomes completely passive. Does that make sense? The other thing I will say that I think we really all, Regina says, what do you think about selling business development workbooks? I think, Regina, if your audience has a problem with business development and you have found that a workbook is the best way to put out that fire for them and solve their problem, that is a great idea. I always think with every offer we're going to sell and to monetize, we just want to think about my people. What do they need help with? What can I help them with? What is in my zone of genius? What do I do so well? What fire can I put out for my people? And then what's the best way for me to put that fire out for them? Workbooks are great. Here's what and I see Amelie has a comment here. Here's what I will say in terms of if we're starting our business from the get-go. I find non-passive, very active forms of revenue usually scale faster because we can charge a higher price point for them. Meaning a workbook with some one-on-one work, or where you're going to help walk people through it, one-on-one work, group work, anything where we are actively showing up, we can put a higher price tag on. Yes, we have to show up the first time around, but most of us don't have a massive audience to pull from the get-go that know, likes, and trusts us. So we can leverage a smaller audience, show up and serve and get better results for our people that way, learn what they really need to then create that more leveraged residual income. So I think that's a great idea, but we just want to think about where this falls. And then I want to talk about where this falls in our business offer suite in a second as well, but I want to see what Amelie has to say first. Amelie says, perfect the stream before you build a new one. Absolutely. Yes, I love you, Amelie. Amelie's brilliant, by the way, you all. Yes, perfect the stream before you build a new one. We want to have a hose that sprays, I've heard this, it might have been from you, Amelie, that has one large burst of water, if you think about a big hose coming out, versus putting our thumb on it and having it go all over the place. Let's focus everything in on one thing first and get that well oiled before adding something else on. In terms of more residual income, here's what, hey, thanks for joining. Here's what I'll say that's important to think about as well. So the first thing I want to say is I think what we want to think about is before we start thinking about residual, more passive income, and we're showing up more actively in our businesses, thinking about our audience, building an audience and building relationships and showing up and sharing value. Whatever you sell, whether it's active or passive, that is what's at the core of a successful, sustainable business. You don't get to skip that step. We have to have people to sell to. We have to have people who know, like, and trust us. That's who we buy from. It just is, y'all. Studies say so. And if we take a look behind the hoods at the businesses that are hitting the $1 million plus mark with their residual income, with their passive income, they are still showing up almost daily, y'all, to nurture their audiences, to build their audience, to show up with free, consistent value, to really build that know, like, and trust. That doesn't go away, and that is something that is very active. And I think that's something we all really want to be mindful, even if we're leveraging our time and selling that something that is creating that income while we sleep, we still have to show up. This isn't, for some reason, there's something being sold online that you start a business and then you just get to peace out and like tap out and like run away from it. And most business models that I know that are doing well, you don't get to tap out of it. If anything, you're showing up for it more. That doesn't mean burning out. That doesn't mean working 13 hours a day. Oftentimes that means, again, leveraging our time and building on a team, but we're still showing up for it. We're still having to get in front of people. And I see questions. I'll answer those in a second. The other thing I think is really important to start to think about when we're looking at some of these residual income streams, these additional income streams, is to start to think about what purpose they serve for us in our business. And I don't want to go too deeply into this because I know we've done a workshop on this before, but we want to start to think about what is it we're doing in our business? What problem are we solving for our people? What results are we getting for our people? What are the bigger offers we're offering? And if we're starting to add on residual income streams, where do they fit in our overall business model and business flow? And I think when we can think about that, then suddenly residual income becomes a lot more strategic. And it becomes a lot more intentional, and it can help, again, just add to the way that we're building our audience, nurturing them, showing up with value in a way that has people put some skin in the game, create that commitment so that they're more likely to invest in us at a higher level versus finding a residual income stream that we're like putting all chips in, going all in on, and hoping that that's going to be the secret magic bullet where we get to tap out of our business and make all our money from this $1.99 product. Do the math on how many of those you have to sell to hit your income goals. Versus if we have that same product feed into a larger offer, I think that's one of the most brilliant ways to leverage our residual income at an even higher level. Making sense, y'all? I see Andreas here. I see ABC Retail Solutions. Thank you all for joining. All right, I'm going to answer Regina's question. If you guys have you all, I want to say you all because there's women here as well. If you have any questions about that, let me know. I want to answer Regina's question. So Regina says, what kind of business workbooks are core? I realize people are trained, but they keep missing it, so they need them. Regina, I'm not sure if I completely understand your question. You mean people are trained in business, but they keep missing certain aspects, and so they need the business workbooks? I think that's what you mean. In which case, I would say if it were me and I was creating a workbook that I was going to, whether it was for free or to monetize it, I would take a look at what you're seeing in terms of what people are missing. So what's that thing they're missing? Regina says yes. What's the thing they're missing? Where's that gap for them? And then what is it that you do so well? What's your zone of genius? How can you specifically address that gap that they're missing and create a workbook around that? So let me come up with I'm gonna make up an example. Let's say you see that people know all about ideal clients, but you see there's a gap missing in that. So they know all about ideal clients, they're talking about this all the time, but they're really missing a core element that speaks to what you do well. Let's say I have a client who works with systems. This is the weirdest example ever. Let's say you have a system for how to organize ideal clients' wants and needs so that you can speak to them in your content. And you have a system that specifically addresses that. Then I would create a workbook around that specific solution and then market it specifically to that solution and speak to your audience saying, you know all about the ideal clients, you know this thing. Did you know you're missing the key to creating success? And what they want is to use this system so they can organize their needs, wants, and desires of their ideal client so that they can create specific content that speaks to them. Weirdest example ever. I don't know what you specifically do, Regina, but that way you're creating something really specific that speaks to their problem, and then it ties into the result they want. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense for you. It's hard to know without knowing the whole scope of your business and what you do, but hopefully that helps a little bit. If you have a further question, feel free to answer. Instagram, I don't think I see any other comments on here, so I will wrap this up and just make sure Regina doesn't have any other thoughts there. Bringing it back to we're calling it residual income, not passive income. Overall, my closing thought for everyone, and throw in those comments if you have them, is that residual income is amazing. I love it. I will never get upset about waking up and seeing money in my PayPal or my Stripe account. I love it. I think it is beautiful. However, I think it is such a misconception to think that that is happening while it's happening while I sleep, that I'm not doing anything while I'm awake to generate that residual income. And so for me, for example, I make money every month from my products, but I'm sending traffic to something that is a funnel, essentially, that is generating that revenue. I'm constantly I want to, but building up those relationships and nurturing my audience. And I have to constantly sell those products for them to generate sales. And I really want to remind everyone of that, because sometimes I think, again, with residual income, y'all know I'm obsessed with sales. I think for some of us, especially who are heart-centered and passion-driven, we want to avoid sales as much as possible. And we think this is just another way we get to avoid the sales part of it. If anything, you have to show up and sell that much more to be able to generate the residual income. And I really want to remind everyone that it's not a way to avoid being in your business. It's not a way to avoid building relationships. It's not a way to avoid selling. Residual income is a way to leverage your time and to leverage your skills so that you can reach more people without having to trade time for money. And yes, you can make money while you sleep, but it doesn't mean you have to work all the time. You're still going to have to show up while you're awake. And I think that's just the important thing for all of us to remember when we start tripping out on, I need to make some passive revenue right now. Let's all start to look to, what do I need to do actively first to make some income? And then how can I leverage that? All right, Regina says, you're amazing. Thank you. You're amazing. Thank you for being here. She says, I offer professional support for businesses to make profit and be sustainable. She said, keep showing up, thumbs up. Yes, so keep showing up. And I think so perfect, just to answer Regina's question, full circle here, to bring this full circle for you. if you're offering professional support for them to make a profit and be sustainable, I would just make sure that whatever workbook you're making is really specific and is solving something that is tied into helping your audience make that profit and be sustainable. But you can absolutely do that in a workbook. I love workbooks. I think workbooks are great. And you can absolutely turn that into a residual income product as well. So absolutely. And what Regina says in terms of keep showing up is, I think, the perfect way for us to wrap this up, because as a bookend here, a reminder, our free training this month starts on Wednesday, and it's all about showing up like a boss so you can get paid. And this just ties into it perfectly. We're going to spend 3 days. I'm going to walk you through my coaching framework of, what is it? It's clarity, mindset, strategy, and action. I talk to you all about this all the time. And we're going to talk about specifically showing up like a boss so you can get paid, because I will tell you this, the people who are making money, who are kicking ass, taking names in business, they're showing up like a boss. And that does not mean they're shouting. That does not mean they're being loud. That does not mean they're doing all the things. That doesn't mean they're showing up in all the Facebook groups. It's more about how they're showing up energetically and emotionally, as well as physically. And we want to talk about how we're combining those so that we can stop hiding in plain sight and we can really generate that income in our business, as well as that impact. I'm really excited. I think this is going to be a very fun training, and it's completely free. Going down Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. Make sure you sign up for it if you want to join me for it. Link is in my profile, Instagram, Facebook. Link is at the top of the Facebook page. That's it. I'm going to go off and meet some girlfriends now and wrap up my Monday. I love you all. Thank you for hanging out with me, for watching on the replay. Let me know if you have any questions or thoughts. I'll see some of you on Wednesday for the free training. I will be back on next Monday with another talk. We'll chat and dig into something else. Whew, that's a lot of words. So much love to you all. Thank you so much for hanging out. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Bye, Facebook. I got this to work. I'm so excited. Love you all. Bye-bye.